Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Kyle Lowry. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas. And who, sir, are you?
I am the producer, Matt Duncan. I'm feeling jolly. We've got the fourth pick. Freddie, how are you feeling?
I'm also feeling jolly. We got the fourth pick. Things are good. This is fun. Maddie, we are hardcore Raptors fans and podcasters. We talk about the Raps and the NBA.
Yep.
We're not analysts, but we are funny. And this is a good pod. And if people want to, help us out, share, subscribe, find some of the hilarious performers we have on the pod, all that good stuff. How can they get started?
A great start to the Oregon Trail is at dunkspodcast.com. If you go to our website, you will see our links there, and our social media, like Twitter and Instagram. They have these fantastic link trees. You got to click on them because they'll take you all the podcatchers you want. They'll take you to the website. They'll take you to the Sonar Network, which is the network we are a part of, which you can listen to a bunch of great podcasts there, as well as Freddie's new one called The Pickup, WNBA Podcast. Please check it out. Please rate and subscribe.
Hey, with Catherine Niker, baby.
But yeah, so we've had some changes. If you want a toque, just kind of send us a message through one of our channels and we will set that up for you. And yeah, I think thanks for subscribing and rating. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all the listens and that we're growing. And we just love to talk good old Raptors ball. And we're excited to see what happens this summer.
Damn right. And Matt, I appreciate you. You're a star and your audio work is second to none, and your attention to detail. Folks, if you start on down the Oregon Trail, you don't want an itchy head. And Matt was thinking about you. So you want one of our toques?
Yeah.
Can't go through the regular channels. Those are done. So you hit us up directly and we'll get you a toque. Okay.
Yeah, you want to survive the Oregon Trail, you're going to need one of our toques. Okay?
That's right. You hit us up real quick, and we'll get you that toque. And the toques exist. That's real, okay? But Matt, a fun transition from me appreciating you is, I feared you for a little bit in this pool of ours because you were dominating me. You still are winning, but. There was a very pivotal series that turned in my direction, and I think, history is written by the victors, and I think I'm going to pull this one out.
I couldn't win one of those games, like the Nets or the Sixers just couldn't win for me. Just couldn't do it. And to think that when we started, that the correct place to place them was 5th and 6th, whichever one you want to put in there, 5th and 6th. You had the right idea. I got to say, the Bucks are in the top 4, and there's a very good chance that you were going to get all of those 256 points for the one ranking.
I need them.
You do need them.
I picked the Bucks and the Clips final. Clips are in tough, but they are in the conference finals. And the Bucks finally did it for me,
Yeah, they did.
Everyone stopped believing in Coach Bud. I didn't. Just kidding. It's not really about Bud for me, but it's more about Giannis. And I think the Bucks powered through, and they really made it happen. And they beat the Nets. Pretty massive victory.
Yeah, huge victory. And I honestly don't know how they would shape up against a potential Suns. I think that it's going to be a tight series.
Oh, it's going
to be.
It would be juicy series, I think.
Yeah.
Quite juicy. Yeah, especially with all, like different types of like injured stars. I think those are probably the two like healthiest teams. Be fun to see those kind of like the young players, the Booker and Ayton, get to go up against like some, more savvy vets sort of thing.
And Chris Paul will be back.
And Chris Paul will be back. Yeah. Yeah, I think before we jump into the pod here, I'm just going to say to anyone who's been, kind of living in Toronto the last little while during the pandemic, I'm sure you have noticed that there's been forceful removal of encampments instead of kind of providing affordable housing. And yesterday at Trinity Bellwoods, there was a very egregious and shitty and inhumane force or display of force by the Toronto police. And guest of our podcast actually covers that pretty well in his plug at the end, and will give you a really good place to support and donate and help out if you are so inclined, and hopefully you are. And with that, I will say, defund the police, stop Asian hate, email your city councilors, and Black Lives Matter. And Maddie, if you feel like we're good to go on this pod and we're ready to start talking some basketball, please just give me those sweet words. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's get going here on this very exciting post-draft lottery day episode of the pod. I'm very, very excited to bring on a super special guest, so special that he named this podcast. It's been a while since he's been on. I think perhaps early pandemic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Too long. Sorry, Matt.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. It was like week 1 pandemic.
Well, I guess he's at the beginning and the end, hopefully, of this pandemic. But he's past the bars. He's past the solicitors. He's made it all the way to the other end. He is a lawyer now, and we love him. And he started this pod, and he named this pod, which I already said. Give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for the one, the only, Kevin Dowse.
Hey,
Yo,
buddy. You're a sweetie pie, man. It's so good to be back on this thing.
It's so good to have you back on. It's so familiar and great. I'm like excited for your opinions, and I feel like I maybe already know some of them. We're connected. It's good.
We'll probably share some of them. It wouldn't be a shock to me.
It's like the old days.
But
It's like
there's
the old days.
There's so much to talk about. We haven't spoken for the entire pandemic. I refused to take your calls. But I'm happy to be back now.
No, it's good. I always say to anyone who will listen, I love calling Kev even when he doesn't call me back. It's a thing we have. It's good.
Yeah, it's a little cat and mouse.
Listen, listeners, we're friends. Trust me. Okay.
I
During
love
the
Freddie.
pandemic, we've hung out on Winston Churchill Park a couple times. It was nice.
And then on your balcony.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to talk basketball so much that I think we got to get to guest number 2 here. He's incredible. He's a hilarious comedian, amazing stand-up, just a hardcore basketball fan in general. Make sure to get his book, Float Like a Butterfly, Drink Mint Tea. It's available on, all the stores where you can get it. I'm reading this off his Twitter, and the available part threw me off because I don't know how to say that, but the book is great. Go get it, read it. Without any further ado, give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Alex Wood.
Woo!
Oh, it's good to be back.
Yeah, buddy.
Last time I did the pod was all like sad too. It was like, what are we gonna do this summer?
Right. It was probably, now this is a guess for sure, somewhere after the Boston loss.
Yeah. I think it was like, it was like right when the book was coming out. So it was like around April, March-ish.
Sweet.
It's like
Well,
right when we were like still like, oh my god, like every like week it was changing so much. Like, we're gonna get in and we're gonna do damage, and then it was like, we suck.
and now the Raptors fans are as steady as it goes. I do think, though, we have too much to talk about for even more of this banter, because I want to banter around, but I just have to hear your guys' opinions on a million things. Maddie, I know you're there. Please give me your most delicious, whatever you got, Raptors sting.
Paging Bobby Webster.
Huge. That was a big time audio choice. And I love you for it, Maddie. It was. I just I kind of sat on those words because all I could think about is that voice. I used to say it was Alvin and Chip, like it was like one of the Alvin Chipmunk dudes.
The Bobby Webster.
Yeah, the Bobby Webster voice, but now it kind of sounds like Dobie. It's giving me like a Harry Potter vibe.
Oh yeah.
Hey, okay, sorry. This is more banter. Kevin. I'll give you the honors on the first one.
Okay.
We got the 4th overall draft pick. So the last time we used that pick and kept it, it was Chris Bosh. Fairly big shoes to fill in Raptors history. But yeah, let's just start with this concept before we kind of branch all out with what's possible with this pick. If we keep the pick and we draft 4th overall, who should we draft? Who do you want the Raptors to draft?
So I mean, we're in like this sort of good/bad spot where like we basically get whoever's not picked. So it sort of takes some decision making out of our hands in that sense. Mm-hmm. And the top 4 are all potential franchise-altering guys. I suppose there's a 5 there in Kuminga, which maybe he like factors in. But I have a feeling it's going to be one of Suggs, Mobley, or Green. And I hope it's Green. I think. But you probably change. Like I'll have a different opinion like every day. I feel like Green is just the closest immediate fit. I don't think Mobley will be there, and I'm sort of scared of drafting a big because I'm a coward. But like I know that he's like probably going to be amazing, and like obviously I would want Joel Embiid on my team if the option was there. I know he's not the same player, but I'm just saying like as another for instance of a big. But like also Joel Embiid gets hurt all the goddamn time, and like 7-footers get hurt all the time, and I don't know. It scares me a little. It scares me away a little bit of drafting one.
Kevin, you know that cowards are welcome on this podcast.
Yes, I do know this. I created a safe space for cowardice.
Yes. I mean, and I'm not a student of the draft enough to know that, yes, Mobley is for sure not Wiseman. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I watched Mobley highlights. He dominated. I watched Wiseman highlights. He dominated. So it's one of those things where it's like when it's a big in college or it's like the best big in the draft and they're going high. Yeah. I feel like it's totally fine to have that, the apprehension, and then there's the guys like Ayton, right?
I was about to say, I would have said that about Ayton like 2 months ago.
Exactly. And, Phoenix is obviously not regretting him. I guess Trey and Luka went in that draft, but even though he was 1st overall, I don't think they have any frustration about selecting him, and he looks like a long-term amazing piece. I think I'm leaning towards Green as well as just like a quick jump to. He looks like the longest best scorer there, and it seems like Cade has become the number 1 1st overall guy for at least a couple months now.
Yeah, I should say if Cade's there, obviously he's my.
Yeah, exactly. But it seems like he'll be working out for Detroit and only Detroit, and that's kind of the way that's going. Alex, what's up? Where are you with us? Do you want Green? What do you think about Kuminga, Suggs?
Yeah, I mean, no, obviously not Kuminga, just based on shooting splits. Like that's alarming looking. I would be happy with any one of the three that it looks like the Raps will get a shot at. Suggs, Green, or Mobley. I'm not upset with any of them. I completely agree with Kevin. It is scary drafting a big because it does feel like, you don't want to get the Marvin Bagley Jr. of this group.
That's right.
And no offense to him, his career's not done. And I know he's a longtime listener, so I don't want him to be upset.
That's right. Thank you.
And but I think that there's something to be said about what we've seen in sports recently with the teenagers playing with men.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews, obviously, I don't know if you guys heard of this Luka Doncic guy in Dallas, but there seems to be something about like somebody being 17 and going like, no, I'll go play with those men.
Yeah.
And then putting up numbers and producing.
Yeah, that's the thing. He didn't fade in the G League whatsoever. Like,
can I also say LaMelo Ball?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's a really, sorry, I'm just jumping on your point. It's a really, really good sign to me anytime a guy's like, I need more than college. Sorry.
And he's doing it in the boys' body right now, too. Like, he hasn't filled out yet. He already looks like a marvel athletically. So, Green, I do feel, though, like, which no one's talking about, though, it seems, is just like, it does feel like there's only one guy that fits with us right now, though. We only need one position. Like, we have OG, we have Pascal, we have Fred. I can't talk about Kyle right now. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't really want to right now. I'm not ready to. So it does kind of feel like Mobley, to be honest with you, because I'm not ready to give up on this core yet. And the only thing that would make me not like all in Mobley, let's just go, let's just reload, is like I am scared that next year is the Nets world and we're all just living in it. That they'll be healthy, they'll have like an off season together, and they'll be pissed. So in saying that, my final answer is Green.
It's not a topic I threw in our NBA section, but I actually really agree with you with the Nets. I think they're gonna have an off season to sort it out and just be, I think we will be living in Nets world. But to your point, I don't know if maybe this is a slight disagreement, but I think keep building to win anyways, because I feel like why not, and that's what you should do. And, I think you're talking me into Mobley, because if teams get a little bit frightened and we have the 4th overall pick and there's the best big man in college, and, we have such a savvy team that knows how to feed bigs, like, no offense to Gillespie, but this is a guy that, should be immediately like 10 times as good as Gillespie, right? So I think maybe it is just like it's a fit thing where they're all so good and we're number 4. So don't overthink it. Take the guy that is going to be good and be patient if you need to.
Well, and last time there was a Kevin Durant super team, we didn't say like, well, we'll just punt this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Great point.
You could possibly do. So, I mean, maybe Mobley is the way to go.
Yeah. And I think too, I mean, like my fear of big men notwithstanding, like I think that's a totally good point. We have guards who work well with good bigs, and we have a good coaching staff, and we can coach them up. And again, we're in the 4th spot, so it's like probably if he's there, then he's the best one there for sure. So let's take him.
Sweet. Okay, let's move on here to a little bit of a fun subject. Matty D, if you don't mind coming in for this one. We were watching, me and my partner were watching the draft lottery yesterday, and, I was kind of giving her the rundown about the odds, and, we both started getting really excited when it got to like 8 and then 7, and it wasn't the Raptors, and then went to the commercial break, and we were like, I was jumping around going crazy. And right after the draft lottery was finished, she pretty calmly, and doesn't usually roll like this, she kind of just gave me the rundown about how this was obviously rigged to benefit the Raptors because they were in Tampa Bay, but not egregiously so that people wouldn't get suspicious. And then when I told her, I'm like, you know what? There's a whole like Reddit page for this. Like people, this is their life. They talk about like the draft being rigged. And she's like, good. I'm going to join them because they're right. So, yeah, this is her first like ever conspiracy that she's like totally down with. It's pretty fun. It's pretty exciting. So in that kind of spirit, I was hoping I could hear a conspiracy from you three lads. Maybe it's a real one. Maybe it's one that you've been thinking, and this is a place to share. Let's go to you first, Alex. What's a good NBA conspiracy you think people need to know about?
I don't even know if mine could be considered a conspiracy in lieu of just fact. The NBA changed the rules to allow Michael Jordan to flourish. Wilt Chamberlain said that. They changed the rules to make it harder for Wilt, and they made the rules easier for Jordan. Now, the rules obviously being when they switched to like when you can pack the paint, right? Mm-hmm. They were like, no, you can't. We gotta get people driving to the open drives in this game now. And I mean, it just so happened that like when is that 89? And I mean, it kind of directly coincides with like, whoop, well, this is the best we've ever seen somebody be. I'm not saying Mike wouldn't have been an all-time great or even maybe a GOAT discussion, but I don't think it's 6 titles. I don't think it's 6 out of 8 without those rule changes. And I think it was done specifically and brilliantly. It grew the game. It made the game more entertaining. But it was done specifically to make Michael Jordan become Michael Jordan, and it worked.
Okay. I never say this, but just from that first answer, I think there's a good chance that I start a new pod that's all about conspiracies in basketball. That was amazing, Alex. Like, first of all, I actually am like agree with you as far as like entertainment, and like there's a lot of things that would make sense about a league catering to its most entertaining player, and trying to make sure that he has the most coverage he possibly could. But you know what? I'm not gonna do this for everyone's conspiracy theory because I just want to like let them hang out there, and they're all true. Kevin, let's do next.
Okay, so mine has to do with reffing, and I think the refs got really tired of hearing over and over again that they were like someone's pawn. They were Adam Silver's pawn. They were organized crime's pawn. They're really just like, I think they got fully tired of hearing about all that. And so they've just started straight up hijacking games now. They're like, we're going to make this last literal second of the Suns Clippers game last for 15 minutes. I like this. We're like, oh, you know what? We better do a replay of that one. Obvious out of bounds call. Let's take 10 minutes. This is our game. This is our yard here. And we hold the strings, and we're gonna run this the way we want to run it. It's not in anyone's favor. It's just our own like bizarre, sadistic whims. And I think there's like a super dark referee cabal that is just looking to like infuriate fans across the league.
I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but makes total sense. Total sense. Yeah, like the refs are taking a stand. They've had enough. We all saw. If you think Kevin's out to lunch, why don't you Google Chris Humphries gets blocked by a ref?
Yes.
Then talk to me, because that ref was mad about something that had nothing to do with Chris Humphries.
Or Google foul bay. They want the spotlight with these review calls now that they get to talk right to the camera. They want that spotlight.
Okay. Yeah. Google foul bay. Maddie, what's up? You got a conspiracy for me?
Yeah, I do. I mean, mine's a little bit elaborate, and I would say that it validates both of your conspiracies. And this is one that I've heard on 4chan, 8chan.
Okay, wow.
I don't want the FBI coming to my house.
My computer just got flagged.
Yeah, we're gonna get aggregated to jail, buddy.
I'm just trying to make it legit here. So the whole thing, the NBA, it's all like wrestling. Everything about it. Let me explain something. Now there is a conspiracy that one of the biggest donors to the NBA is Steven Spielberg.
Mhm.
And if you remember watching E.T., there's a lot of cuts to E.T.'s calf muscle contracting. So I'm also saying that there's never been a real injury in the NBA. They've all been special effects.
Oh,
What
wow.
we saw with Kevin Durant was special effects done by early ET prototype that's been perfected. And even all the general managers and presidents are actors. I know for a fact that Masai Ujiri is not Masai Ujiri. His name's Paul Jurgensen. He's from Delaware. He's an
Wow.
actor. And he has a background in gymnastics. But he's a damn
Wow.
good actor. So it's not just that they're changing the game for Michael Jordan or that the refs are in some kind of cabal. It is all part of the show here, folks. So thankfully there's never been an injury. Even when Hayward's ankle was backwards, that was special effects too. It's all for entertainment, and we just need to treat it for exactly what it is.
Wow.
Yep.
Is it a union house? Like,
Yes.
I didn't even get that joke. Is it a union house?
like are
Someone-
all these actors union? It's
Yeah.
settled
Oh,
on
okay.
board.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
of course
I'm
it's
sorry.
friggin'
What
union.
are the hours they got them working? You know.
Thank you. Yes, sorry. First time I watched a Truman Show, I kept wondering that as well. Okay. Well, mine I think is less elaborate, but maybe the least real of all of them.
Wow.
And-
After Maddie saying that, okay.
yeah, we can
Well,
say.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you know what? It's more real than your weird injury thing. Because that was so specific that I'm like, that has to be only from the brain of a guy who's using a snowblower too often. Okay. No, mine's just hologram based. So basically, it was too risky to bring Adam Silver to the bubble. He's the head of the org. Either they had a guy like a body double that was walking around like showing whatever, remote control. However they did it, when we saw Adam Silver in the bubble, absolutely no way it was. That's it. That's it for me. It's not even that grand. It's basically just like if we can't go down, like our main person can't go down during COVID. So
Is he
we
dead?
also no, he's alive. He's fine.
Oh, okay.
But like a group of people just decided, Adam, you can't actually go there. Like that's just way too risky. So we're gonna send your brother Alan or whatever.
I feel like you could get most people to look like Adam Silver with not much effort.
Yeah, that's an
100%.
easy find.
Yeah, they just need like whatever, like platform shoes or something like that. Like yeah, just you get a skinny Mr. Clean look, and then
Yeah.
you
Put on some glasses. No one's gonna notice the difference.
you got it. No, you did. Yeah, you like. I feel like many a Sims look like Adam Silver. So okay. I think let's go back to the draft. We had some fun conspiracy talk, but let's go to you, Kevin. And just the kind of the other end of this pick, I want to explore. So the other time the Raptors got the 4th overall pick, we selected Anton Jamison, an incredible player, incredible career. It was part of a draft night trade for Vince Carter, who is an obvious legend in the franchise. So we got Chris Bosh, Vince Carter, lots of pressure regardless with the pick, whether we deal it or keep it. But yeah, in the case of dealing it or doing something with it, what's an idea? Like, yeah, what might you want to see from the Raptors if they decide to move the pick?
I mean, I could for sure see. I don't think I want it because I think he's a UFA after this season, but I could for sure see a Beal trade entering the discussion. I definitely want Beal on the Raptors, period. Like, for sure, that'd be amazing. But it would have to be some sort of commitment from him, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But that I could see that going one way. I could also see, I mean, like, the Pistons don't have the smartest or best front office, it seems. So maybe they'll like overcomplicate things and get like here's like, I don't know, Fred or Pascal in the fourth, and like, here's the first. That'd be cool. I mean, I love our guys, but that'd be cool.
That would be something else.
Yeah. That would be amazing. There's also like, I think this might actually be for a separate question, but if Sam Presti's taking our calls, like, what up, Shay?
Yeah, totally. That's actually who I'm looking at his basketball reference right now. Trying to find how much he's getting paid, actually. But
is Shay still on his rookie deal?
That's kind of what I was curious about, because I feel like if he is, that makes dealing for him significantly harder.
Looks like 4 years at 16.9.
Okay, so you got an extension.
Okay, so yeah, he's on so pretty cheap though. Rookie extension.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that, Beal and Shea, I think, are probably the like quick go-tos.
Yeah.
So you're like less high on Beal because of the control.
Yeah, totally.
Makes sense.
I don't think it's a win this year move. I don't think he puts us over the top the same way that Kawhi
right.
did.
And obviously you don't have the assurance that he stays, and drafting a fourth overall guy, it's like it's very likely going to be a player on your team for 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in case you couldn't tell from that, I'm like heavily leaning towards keeping it rather than
right
dealing in some way.
Yeah, well, one thing I was kind of thinking too is, depending on how the Raptors feel, whether it's like Suggs coming their way and, they're unsure about how he's going to gel with Fred, or maybe they're super high on Malachi, or they want Lowry to come back and, whatever, the guard position they're not super interested in. Another idea I had, beyond those trades is trading down. And kind of like, like trading up, for instance, if they want to try and like get into that. But I feel like with, unless a team makes a bonehead move, those three teams are probably going to keep those picks. But we could maybe turn, I'm just making this up, but the fourth pick into the 10th and 11th or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to also introduce that as an idea before I go to you, Alex. Yeah, what might you be interested in if you feel like the Raptors aren't going to select the fourth with the pick?
It's funny because what you just said is my biggest fear going into this. I feel like this is a can't mess it up situation unless they trade down. Yeah. And I am scared that Masai is thinking a little bit like, I'm the king of finding people that nobody else saw. So what if I could get, like
two of those guys?
Three firsts or whatever, like over the next few years, like,
right.
Who knows what could happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, which is so exciting about the situation now. But what I think is what Kevin started with, Detroit. I mean,
yeah. Oh, wow.
They publicly said today that they're listening to offers. So it's like,
that's madness to me, but
that's clickbaity, I think, because I bet you that gets said by every number one team in every sport, and we just always forget and we always fall for it. But they are so dumb, I could see it too. And I just heard this, like, honestly, an hour before the pod. Cade had more turnovers than assists last year.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why that's not being talked about.
Huh. No, this is good. This is.
So I think that we need to turn up we need to start saying that stat all the time.
Yeah, that's not a small deal.
And say that so we can get Cade, because I don't care. Right. That's such an easy young man's problem to clean up. Like, dude, just hit the mark more on these. Don't be as reckless. That's just a kid move. So yeah, I could really see a combination of that stat scaring Detroit and them overthinking this and going like, maybe we'll pull the Fultz for Tatum deal of 2021. And then it's like, okay.
Right. Of course.
It didn't do. And
that happened.
Yeah. The only thing is I don't know how, like, well, it's even if they trade, like, I guess they'd have to they would draft him and then trade him to us or trade the pick for the fourth. And then I don't know what we kick in with the fourth.
It would have to be a good player, which would
yeah. But then why would Detroit want to do that? So it's also very confusing. To be honest with you, I think Like if they do move it, then yeah, it can't be just a one move. Do you know what I mean? I want them to keep it. And if they're going to trade the fourth overall pick when everyone is saying that it's a franchise-altering player that you'll get, then you better be getting a franchise-altering player coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's got to be, and it's got to be multiple. It would be like the blockbuster NL blockbusters. That's what I think. Where it's like, oh my god, like there was 3 teams involved, multiple players, and at the end of it, we're just staring at a starting 5 that's like, how did this come about? We got in with Presti. We gave him some picks. And just the starting 5 next year is just like, you think the Kawhi, it's so crazy that I couldn't even give you the example. Like you think that Kawhi deal was, wow, it feels like we're on Mars now. And it's like that again, where it's like, we only kept OG and then it's OG and everybody else. But no, and like Kevin ended on, though, I just want to keep the 4th.
Yeah, I think I said the word control. For me, that's my biggest reason for, keeping the pick. But Alex, you touched on a point that I think is huge. And, I feel like really people should start to talk about, especially with Masai's history. And that's like turning one thing into multiple things. And the 4th pick represents a huge opportunity to kind of like, I'm topping on your point again, but like call OKC, right? Yeah. Like, hey, you really, really wanted in this draft, didn't you? That sucks. You didn't get in the draft and you have so many picks. Do you want to just tank again this year? Or maybe do you want the 4th pick so you can kind of get the ball rolling? We don't want Shea. We'll just take 7 picks. You know what I mean? Like, I think yeah. And I think like that's how Masai rolls. Or, maybe you give Washington a call and it's like, wow, frustrating year. Chicago, oh my God, you guys trade for, Vucci and you went all in and you didn't make the playoffs. Ouch. You know what I mean? And I think like that's kind of how Masai rolls. Call the Sacramento Kings if they'll return your call. Orlando, I don't think would. Let's see how the Knicks feeling. Give them a shake. But I feel like the 4th pick, it just has major value, and you touched on that. There's tons of NBA stuff too. So I feel like we're going to have to get back on this draft stuff next week. But before I do move on, do you guys have any other, draft thoughts regarding the Raptors?
Well, Masai just has, this is perfect timing to get the 4th overall pick because he just showed the whole league, I'll walk away from anything. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Like I'll lose Kyle for nothing instead of giving you him for a worse deal, which a lot of people were mad about at the time. Oh, so we're just going to get nothing for Kyle, and it's like, well, I mean, maybe like like nothing, but I mean, conceptually, there's more than just players and stuff, and he just has set himself up now for like, oh that's no, right. if you're going to call Ujiri, you better be giving a good deal. He's never ever going to take a scrap deal just because he's going to lose the guy. He's like, no, I'd rather than just keep him. So that is now like, that's one of those things that'll make like a Presti, if it comes up, a Washington, whoever, just go like, just give him the extra pick then. Who cares? Where he's not going to do it. We're not going to win this standoff, which is incredible.
Yeah,
for sure. And I think like, that kind of those reputational like dividends matter, right? I think it matters to players that Masai looked at Pat Riley and he's like, I don't care who you are, get out of my face.
Exactly.
He looked at Morey and he said, Maxey? Buddy, I have 5 players better than Maxey. Yeah. Thibault? You're not even offering Thibault? Get out of my face. And I think like that's kind of that holds value later on. And then because he can also call them back and be like, you guys lost real quick. I told you guys were going to lose. You know what I mean? And then he can call the Lakers.
Remember when you undervalued Kyle?
Yeah, he could be like, Taylor Horton, who? Get out of my face, And I think like that was part of the whole Kyle thing. And that, I remember saying on this podcast, like Masai, he just doesn't negotiate from a place of weakness. And that's an important thing to know about him. That, I mean, until he exhibits that type of character, I'm going to assume that he operates from a place of strength. Maybe at what, he's made mistakes, but I think he doesn't like panic, you know? Anyhow, let's talk some NBA. Maddie, please give me your most delicious Adam Silver hologram sounding sting. Yeah, give it to me.
This is Adam Silver.
Bow. Sometimes
I felt like there was a Beyond coming. I did.
There is sometimes, I swear. I don't know based on I don't know based on the edits. Alex, let's start with you on this one. And this is like pretty subjective. So just kind of for a fun chat, which player do you think reputationally has gained the most? And yeah, very subjective because it's reputation, but whether that's like they had a bunch of goodwill and they've lost it, or people were doubting them and they don't anymore.
Devin Booker. I mean, I don't it's him or it's weird because CP3 was already like a first ballot, and then now it's like, did you go up even higher though? Now?
Yeah.
I think he did.
But I just feel like Booker's was too much more. There's too much of a gap of going into the playoffs to now. I know who said it, but like major people saying you're the next Kobe. I think, I think it's Booker. For me, I Googled Toronto Kijiji Devin Booker jerseys yesterday. Like, I think it's Book. Yeah, man.
Booker's like a perfect answer for this question. I can't think of a player that has scored 72 points in a game that everyone was like collectively like, yeah, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait, 72 points though.
72.
Yes.
And it was all on like cuts and like fadeaways and not even a bunch of threes.
No, it was an efficient 72, and everyone was like, I guess.
Yeah, and I remember just being like, I just don't care if that was rude or in like a losing affair. Like anyone that's ever played a sport or, played basketball, it's like at a professional level, that's just incredible. It doesn't matter. Like in the G League,
also have a 65 piece too. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, I think he's got another biggie.
Like it was in the same like season. So he's got the 70. And I'm sorry, I'll check it out.
No, I love it. But yeah, no, but Booker's a perfect answer. And then, he had that incredible bubble performance, 8 games in a row and they still don't make it. And, even as the second seed, I'll put my hand up. I picked Lakers in 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm definitely, I didn't think like, oh yeah, Booker's going to be the best player in a series with LeBron. I didn't say that. Yeah. What about you, Kevin? Do you have like a winner or loser?
Yeah, I mean, Book's a great one, and Simmons is the obvious loser, I would say. I think that for my gaining position, I'll go a little like outside the superstar bubble, and
sure,
Reggie Jackson. He was like,
I love this. Yeah,
Reggie Jackson was like done, right? He was like, he was not playing in Detroit. And then he was basically like almost out of the league, it looked like, and then didn't play a bunch this year. He was hurt. He was off his game. And then the playoffs is just like, you can't sit this guy. He's too good.
I love that answer so much. And I love guys like that too. Like, Cameron Payne.
Too.
Another guy in Phoenix. It's like the Raptors dropped him,
Yeah.
And, I'm even having for Boogie Cousins.
Sure.
Like, he's not, I don't think, doing like a great job, but he's in the conference finals and he's playing meaningful basketball. Like that's nothing to shake at. My answer is kind of like a double whammy of Giannis and Chris Middleton. I think that they both have reached a point. I still think it's kind of like finals or championship or bust a little bit for that team, and I think they'll get slammed if they don't beat Atlanta. But I think beating KD and Brooklyn in the way that they did, even though Brooklyn was injured, it just was so dramatic, and it was such an incredible game, an incredible series, and they showed up. Like, I think most people would walk away from that series saying that KD was the best player, but I don't think anyone, how Simmons kind of crumbled. It's like Giannis didn't crumble.
No.
No one in the Bucks crumbled. Like there was that. It's the first time I can remember the Bucks, since we gave them the Canadian sweep, like actually overcoming adversity. Like they did it.
Yeah. And I remember texting you at one point. It was like, the Nets are not even a little bit scared of the Bucks.
They weren't.
And it didn't matter, which I thought was great.
And to Alex's kind of like, foreshadowing point, like the Kyrie injury, my goodness. Cause like, I think that the type of Nets basketball we were seeing with Kyrie and KD and parts was absolutely exceptional.
Yeah. If they're healthy, I still think they're like strutting to the finals.
Yeah, I agree.
It seemed like it. Like it really did seem like it. But that's the playoffs and that's injuries. Okay, Kevin, let's go to you for this last NBA question. I threw some daggers at the teams that didn't trade for Kyle. But I just kind of want to do a thought exercise of, out of the 26 teams that are no longer in contention, whether they've like recently been eliminated or didn't even make the playoffs, who do you think is like, who has the most regret and what for?
So I think it's Philly. I think that just like not even that they're in the worst position necessarily, but just the amount of very public decision making they have to do right now. And like, it's all very like massive identity type of questions. Like they're going to have a terrible offseason. And
sorry, just a great point on like the public decision making. Like my answer's not Philly, but it's similar realm of like,
right.
When your name's like all in the media like this, it's like franchises don't like to roll like that. Sorry.
No. And I was just going to say, just to the end of that thought was that they're not going to get proper value for Simmons because of it. I don't think, because I think Simmons is not as bad as he looked in the playoffs, but it just blew up for them on the biggest stage. And they very much needed Kyle Lowry instead of Ben Simmons, basically.
I know. Well, it's weird too, because like, I think the playoffs, like your problems get magnified, but the thing that I still don't even know how to word properly. It's like your problems get magnified, but like in a very hyper specific situation that might not happen again ever. Like, because each playoff series is so different, but also if you don't like, change your problem. If you're the Bucks and you don't get Drew Holiday and you're like, we're going to roll with Bledsoe again, and then you lose again or something, then it's like, it's so just like demoralizing or something.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the Simmons situation where it's like, he was incredible in the regular season. Philly was amazing. There were, a lot of things were great for Philly. And anyway, I'm just agreeing, but, what about you, Alex? Who do you think that has like what team, what decision, or who's got the most regrets?
At the moment, I think it's the Lakers.
Also a good choice.
Because I don't care. I'm not going to hide what they would have beaten the Suns in round one. As much as I like the Suns, like Kyle he's a winner. He's all of that. And on D, they would have gotten by that, and then who knows how much time that would have given for healing. And then if all three of them are good to go by round two, it's like, well, yeah, they're gonna, with what everything else happened, like they're gonna walk to the finals.
Yeah.
And then, but I would agree with Kevin if we end up signing and trading and getting Ben, which some people have speculated, which I really like Ben and don't want him though. I really want him.
Exact same.
I agree.
Exactly.
I think he'll flourish too. Wherever he goes next year, I think he's going to do great.
Yeah.
I think people never realize the human element of sports. Him and Embiid do not like each other.
Yeah.
So when you were rivals with this guy on your same team, who's going to be the guy we focus the offense around? Who's going to be the guy we focus the team around? And they picked him. That might make him not want to play like that. Who knows what happens when he goes to Portland next year and he's just looking to all these threes all the time. But if he did come to the Raptors and it's for Lowry, and you could have had Lowry, and then let's say even if it went poorly, traded Simmons for something else, like you'd look like idiots if you ended up sending him now because you just passed on a much. It's literally like one of those like, I'll offer you $10,000 for this, whatever. And then, no, it's 5 tops. And then you laughed at the person. And then months later you went up to them and you're like, is 2,500 okay?
yeah, exactly.
Like, you really regret that now, don't you?
Yeah. My God. Yeah, I think you guys like Philly and Lakers are like top level because they were both contenders, and I think you can see how their decisions affected their like top line. You know, even the Lakers with some of their kind of like, you know, not thinking they needed like Dwight and McGee and trying to replace it with like Harrell and Gasol, and the Lakers just really got cute, and I think that they didn't really kind of set themselves up well. But your guys' picks are better than mine as far as regrets, but one that I just can't stop focusing on is Dallas. I feel like the Seth Curry Richardson trade was one of those like chain of events trade where there was something with Seth and Luka that was really good and kind of perfect. And I guess they lost to the Clippers. So they were like, you know, they did that thing where they're like, oh, we need another guy to cover like George and, you know, and Kawhi, which is like true, but I feel like giving away Seth Curry, you know, who's honestly one of the best shooters in the NBA, it had a residually negative effect. And now, you know, Carlisle's gone and KP's angry, and there's starting to be some like, it just looks like there's trouble in Dallas. And I feel like they could have had more goodwill coming out of this offseason, you know, even if they got eliminated. So
they had a historic offense last year. It's like,
exactly. Yeah. Like,
why did you change that?
And why did you? Yeah, exactly. And why did you assume that your best shooter wasn't a big part of that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and now the rumblings that there's a dummy making decisions that Cuban like loves him for some reason, and he's like, no one else in the organization is like happy at all, and it's just such a weird drama for like what should just be an up and coming, very exciting team.
Hey, Kevin, if you made a lot of money on betting on Shaq and Kobe to win a championship and then leverage it into a career, I hope you would destroy the Mavericks too.
I mean, my goal in life is to fail up as high as possible. So,
hey, that's a good goal.
Yeah.
Okay, let's fail up to the end of this pod with some quickish questions. What do you say, guys? Want to do some quickish questions?
Let's do it.
I want to hear the sting.
Maddie, give me that quickish questions sting.
Quickish questions.
Ow.
Put your sunglasses on.
Whoa.
Sunglasses.
I wear my sunglasses when I pod. Okay, this is quickish questions. I'm going to read these questions as quick as I can. I'm going to stutter, slur, get confused, misread a comma. That's okay. You have to answer as quick as you can. You can't phone a friend. No delaying. You can't repeat the question back to buy yourself some time, Matt Duncan.
Whoa.
No tricks, no treats. Just give me the goods as quick as you can. Let's do it. Kevin, Alex, and Maddie. Let's go. Okay. Kevin. This is a broken up question that I'm just going to read. I'm going to break it up.
Okay.
So, already confusing myself. Kevin, where to start the draft?
Yes.
Great. Alex, do we pick? Do we trade? Do we pick or do we trade down a few?
Pick.
Maddie, do we trade up a spot or two?
No. Stay at 4.
Kevin, rank the draft lottery night outfits. Just the ones you can remember.
I remember Evan Mobley's being right at the tippy top. I don't remember any others.
Cheers. Swin Cash looked good.
Oh, she did. You're right. Yeah.
Freddie was just chilling on his left seat. Alex, which two current Raptor players would dominate as WWE wrestling tag team, and what would their finishing move be?
Pascal and Fred. It's a classic tag team. Smaller, faster, the big guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then their finishing move is, if you ever remember Legion of Doom, the guys that came up with the spikes, they would put the guy on his shoulders, and then the other guy would fly off and clothesline him. But when Freddie jumps off to clothesline him, he doesn't clothesline him. He hits him with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh, that's
because they did the commercial together where.
Yeah, that's good shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah, you prepped.
I actually didn't. That was straight up off the top of my head.
Man.
Maddie.
Yeah.
Which playoff team are you rooting for?
Phoenix Suns.
Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
If you can steal a particular skill from a non-Raptor player and move it to a Raptor player, what skill would it be and which players?
Oh my God. I would give Steph Curry's pull-up to Fred. And I would give Ben Simmons' mobility to Pascal.
Love it. Alex, who from the Raptors is legit?
OG.
Cheers. Matt.
Yeah.
Can we, I don't know why, but I'm kidding. Can we have a 5-point guard starting lineup next season?
5-point guard starting lineup.
Can we have it?
Can we have it?
It's a yes or no question.
I'm going to say no.
That's the exact way Freddie said he does it. Repeats the question like he's confused.
Oh, yeah.
Can we have
There's 5 people on the floor in basketball.
Yeah. Can I call a friend? Kevin. Is Cade shook realizing he now has to see OG frequently?
Yes.
Alex.
Losing sleep over it.
Alex, do you believe in Ben Simmons?
Yes, absolutely.
Matt, last question of the pod here. Who would you trade this pick for in the blink of an eye if it were offered?
The 4th pick?
That's right. See, sneaks it in.
That's so good.
Because I want to. I'm helpful, I want to help him out.
Well, you might have read the 2nd round pick. I get what he's.
Yeah.
The 4th one.
I would trade it for Embiid.
Wow.
Cool.
Folks, that is how you answer quickish questions. 45 minutes. Guys, this was so much fun. The draft was so fun. This is awesome. I feel like the Raptors are in a fun, non-Tampa place, and it's good. We're getting to move the narrative on with some good luck. But thank you both so much for doing this podcast. And to everyone who's been listening and supporting and helping out, thank you so much as well. I'm also going to just take a quick sec to plug a new podcast that I am doing. It's a WNBA podcast with frequent guest and friend of the podcast, Catherine Niker. We're calling it The Pickup. It's also with the Sonar Network, and it's a 2-week WNBA podcast. So make sure you check that out. But let's go to you first, Alex. What's up? Tell people where they can buy your book. Also, people are doing shows now, so I'm sure you're doing sets. Where can people check you out?
Last year I ran shows in my backyard every Friday, Saturday. So the gathering limit outdoors goes up to 25 starting July 2nd, which happens to be a Friday. I'm
Sick.
5-minute walk from Jane Station. Juno winners, Grammy listeners. I don't know why I said Grammy there at all.
No, John Legend will be. Well, John Legend will be in either every EGOT winner ever will be on this next show.
I'm talking Oscar nominees. It's nuts. No, Just for Laughs, all that good stuff. It's 5-minute walk from
people.
Jane Station. It's $10, and it'll be great. So follow me on social, and you see when those come out in the books at Chapters or Amazon or bookstores everywhere.
Awesome. I make fun, but Alex is hilarious, and all those shows will be stacked and, fill up quick. So make sure you get to them and request early and that kind of stuff. Kevin, what's up? How are you? Tell people what's going on. And, if you're not plugging anything right now, tell them something that they need to know.
I mean, listen, I'll plug something. I don't got a lot going on in my life other than like hot boy summer. I'm off for a month, I'm gonna or a couple of months actually. I'm gonna live my life golfing. It's gonna be great. No, I think that I'm gonna plug. So we all know, I'm sure that the encampments were, accosted by the police yesterday in Trinity Bellwoods Park. It's a thing that's happening all over the city. There are people who don't have housing, and the city wants to basically make that illegal, but not actually house them. Check out esn.to.4real. They have a lot of resources, how you can help out, different ways. It's not always going down to protest if that's not what you're into. They give you little things you can do to call your city councilor, and maybe a script that you can even use to leave a voicemail or write an email. It's just different ways you can get involved, sort of grassrootsy things. I think the more noise that we make about it, the better, because it's basically the city is doing it for thinking that it's people like us who want it. And if we consistently tell them we don't want it, then maybe they'll find other ways to help.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And well said. Very eloquent as always. And we'll make sure to put that link there too, so people can check it out. And with any type of protests or advocacy, all the support, fundraising, all the kind of gears that help the message kind of get out there, they're all important. So find a way to help. And this seems like a good kind of starter too, if you're curious. Awesome. Well, thanks to everyone again for listening to this podcast. I think we're probably good to go. And let's keep this train rolling. And Matty D, if you feel like we're good to go, please just give me the sweet words. Okay.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.